Hi, I'm Lou Dobbs, in for Greg Gutfeld. Here's what's coming up. 38 days to go, and one of these candidates has just received a stunning rebuke of the Star Trek cast. You know what they say, as Star Trek goes, so goes the nation. Wait, they never say that, never at all. The most underreported story of the week, violent crime rose in 2015. Seems kind of important leading up to an election, don't you think? And what do naked Katy Perry and not naked Gary Johnson have in common? Beats me, but Kat's got something to say about both of them in the catalog. Let's get started, America. I think I left my pants in the park. There you are. Yes. Let's welcome tonight's guest, shall we? He's so tough, he flosses with piano wire. Former Florida Congressman Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. He's so bright that deer freeze when they see him coming. Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, the legend. His new book is called Erectile Dysfunction. Sounds filthy, but it isn't. Her misery hates company. It's National Review reporter. Can't say it, can't tip. And finally, a hula hoop is his toe ring. TNA wrestler Tyrus. Yeah. But first. All right. The nerds have spoken. Star Trek is anti-Trump. On Facebook, yes, it's true, hold yourselves, a bunch of chuckleheads from Star Trek franchises inked a petition telling fans not to vote for Donald. They wrote, quote, "Never has there been a presidential candidate who stands in such complete opposition to the ideals of the Star Trek universe." Wow. So, does that mean Donald will lose the vote of men in their late 30s who've never seen an actual female breast? Does it mean Trump loses the adult sweaty male vote who fondle novelty action figures while in their torn boxers? And what of the balding, bearded contingent who still sleep in the same bunk bed that they previously stained as a child, still located in their distraught parents' home? Could be, except that one person didn't sign it, and it's the only one who matters.
I've lost a man. I've lost the Enterprise. Yes.
Oh, man. Brando could not hold a candle to him. But it's not just Star Trek going after Trump. The UN News Center tweeted this and then pulled this post that called for 9 million Americans abroad to stop Trump. Now I'm thinking, that should be a badge of honor. The UN has turned a blind eye to so much atrocity, yet bravely goes after Trump. Screw you. The UN criticizing you is like Genghis Khan calling you cruel. It's like Anthony Weiner calling you lewd. It's like Ivan the Terrible calling you terrible. Shut up, you freeloading clowns. Lastly, there's USA Today saying don't vote for Donald. Now, has anyone ever taken advice from USA Today? It's our nation's school paper, without the review of Pippin. They always had Pippin in my school. Meanwhile, Trump continues tweeting in the wee hours of Friday morning about, you guessed it, the beauty queen. He wrote this: "Did crooked Hillary help disgusting? Check out sex tape in past. Alicia M. become a U.S. citizen so she could use her in the debate." Well, no, Donald. She laid the bait during the debate.
He called this woman Miss Piggy. Then he called her Miss Housekeeping because she was Latina. Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
her?
it?
Name
Where
is
did you find it?
Alicia
He's so
Machado.
mad. Now, he could have let it go, but no, he let it get to him all week, turning a love handle into 30 pounds of ugly flab. And what of the sniffing?
But perhaps we'll be talking about that later. So many, hundreds and hundreds of companies are doing this. Our country's in deep trouble. We're the best ever at it.
Now, Trump blamed the mic, and he's probably right, but Howard Dean disagreed.
So following a bunch of sniffles, Governor Dean, you wrote on Twitter, "Notice Trump sniffing all the time. Coke user? Why did you go there?"
Well, you can't make a diagnosis over the television. I would never do that. But he has some interesting, that is actually a signature of people who use cocaine.
That from an actual doctor who once did this.
And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House!
So I'm wondering, what drug causes that? All of them. All of them. Somebody better check the doctor's prescription pad, eh? If I were a doctor, that thing would be empty. So Dean since apologized, so we went to Donald for a comment.
Take it off your hand. Come on, baby. You can do this. You can do it. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy.
Typical cokehead. They use it and they run away. Actually, that was Roger Clinton. So, looking back, Hillary finessed Donald, and he still seemed to have pulled back during the debate. Maybe to him, the debates are like a 3-day rock festival where you save all the good drugs till the end. But why would he lay off Hillary? Who would tell him to go quiet? Maybe that's the best debate prep of all. Practice how long you can remain silent. Well, that was stupid. And I get paid for that crap. Colonel West, you got Star Trek cast members, producers, and writers. You have the UN, you have USA Today going after you. Isn't this a good sign?
Well, you know, I have always kind of been privy to the Romulans and the, what was the other guys, the Klingons.
Yes.
They're very warlike.
Yes.
But, you know, maybe, you know, we can resurrect Spock and he can do the Vulcan mind mail, and that can help Donald Trump for the next debate. But I think without a doubt he needs to get some of those breathe right strips,
yeah,
you know, for the next debate, and that'll help him with the whole sniffing thing. But, you know, it's amazing to me with all the things that are going on in the country right now. And we're sitting up talking about some Miss Universe 20 years ago.
Right.
I mean, 20 years ago, I was running around getting shot at by bad guys. I mean, I think that's a little bit more important. But, you know, I think Trump needs to, instead of worrying about the art of the deal, he should read Sun Tzu's Art of War. Because he needs to understand the strategic environment. He needs to understand how you take, you know, an opposition's perceived strength and you turn it against them. Because there's no doubt about it that when he, after those first 30-some-odd minutes of that debate, they said, okay, we're going to change the direction of the debate. We're going to get him off the game. And he fell for it. And he continues to fall for it.
Yeah, he can't let it go, can he?
He can't let it go.
He can't, Alan, I mean, it's like... that opposition research they did on on Trump must have worked. I almost said Bill Clinton. They kind of remind me of the same thing. But anyway, it worked because they knew what would push his button. And then he started pushing it all week. He wouldn't stop.
But they still haven't found the sex tape, the Donald Trump sex tape. The key is that if they did, he would still get the support of many people he's getting. The only thing that makes me have any doubt, I'm a tremendous Hillary Clinton supporter until you told me that the UN is opposed to Trump. I'm now reconsidering my vote.
There you go.
That's not serious. Even the UN couldn't get me to vote against Hillary Clinton.
Oh,
look, I've known Hillary for years and years and years. She's a terrific, terrific woman. And I don't know why she doesn't...
They're booing your friend.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, a chance here.
This is a volatile election. And I mean, we're talking about a beauty queen. And he's tweeting it at the middle of the night. But do you think it even matters?
Here's the thing. You want to be Miss Universe.
Right.
And there's not a spelling test to get in there, typically.
No.
Just like you want to be a professional wrestler, you want to be in the NFL, you want to be an actress. You're selling your body.
Right.
So there's rules, and when they talk to you about your body.
Yes.
So perfect example, when I was in the WWE, I took my sweet time walking up the ramp one day.
Yeah.
And the boss didn't like it. So he told someone to go tell me when I came back, he said, the boss said lose 50 pounds. By when? Monday. It's Wednesday. See you Monday. Did he fat shame me? Yes, he did. But I use my body on TV, and the people who pay me, if they don't like the way my body looks, they're going to tell me a certain way. And it's 1990, and that's the way they talk. Football coaches, if you came into camp 2 pounds overweight, you were fatty McFat, and you were slow, and you're going to go back to hustling on the corner, selling your body. They say whatever is to motivate you. The things that he was doing to her were, by now, with PC and stuff.
Yeah.
Back then, he was motivating her to meet her contract that she signed. Her body was what got her there. She gained 60 pounds.
Yeah.
He's going to call her Miss Piggy.
But
he's going to say, and here's the thing about the housekeeping.
Yeah.
it was racist because we say now it is, but back then, what was the turnout? What else was she doing?
I don't know.
And you're going to end up being a housekeeper. You don't get your game right. That's what you say to somebody to
motivate. I guess
it's real.
Yes.
I want you to
Tyler
stand
should
in
be
front of
back
my
in the ghetto
refrigerator.
if you don't get your stuff right. You'll be with your homeboys selling drugs if you don't get your grades up and you don't start playing well on the football field.
You know,
That's what they talk
that
to.
had been the only thing, but he played into a narrative.
Yep.
When he talked about the blood, when he talked about calling women dogs, when he talked about if you're flat-chested, you can't get a 10. It played into a narrative.
He needed to steer that off, Kat, right? He needed to go into, he has to influence educated women. He needs the educated women. This doesn't help, does it? Or does it? Do they react? Do they react the way Tyra says it? It's, look, I'm tired of all this BS PC stuff.
If I got fat and nobody told me, I would be furious. I'm serious. Like, I want to know. I mean, she felt like, I agree with what you're saying, that, it does feed into this narrative that makes people uncomfortable. He doesn't really need any more of that kind of thing. But, if someone's mad at you for any reason, even in relationships, if you go, I'm so sorry, then, they like that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, they must really have been wrong. If you're like, look, I'm sorry, but, can you forgive me or not? And you act like it's not a big deal, then people forgive you faster.
That's
so
something I need to learn.
He should have let it go, and then we would have let it go a lot faster rather than being like, by the way, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me, I represented a Penthouse magazine many years ago, and a woman who posed...
I've never heard of that. What is that magazine? So is it about real estate in New York, about penthouses?
I think that's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
rich people at the top. So a woman applied for the job to be the penthouse whatever of the month.
Yeah.
And then she filed a complaint against the publisher saying he wanted me to be naked. And of course we won. That's the job.
The same thing happened to me when I was in National Geographic.
Right.
By accident.
But this is where I want to take it back to. If I had been up there on that stage and Hillary Clinton brought up something from 20 years ago, I said, Miss Clinton, 20 years ago in State of the Union address, your husband said the era of big government was over. Mm-hmm. Do you guys talk to each other? I mean, you guys shifted.
I had poll numbers here.
It was hard to watch. It looked like
7.
couples therapy with Lester
It
Holt.
was a
is what
terrible,
it looked like.
it was a terrible debate.
Terrible debate?
A terrible debate. The first half of it, you had to be a professor of economics to understand the impact of NAFTA and this and the other on everybody's paycheck. Neither candidate spoke to the average American and told them, explained to them how various policies impact their daily life. It was a bad debate.
I got to wrap it up, but I kind of enjoyed the debate, but I had been drinking, so generally I could just stare at anything.
Are you watching it with the sound on or off?
I had it up, and I was shirtless. I'll show you the pictures later. All right, when we come back, the vice presidential debate is Tuesday. Why should you watch? We're going to tell you next.
The thriller of vanilla.
Yes, exciting. The thriller of vanilla, the standstill in Farmville, the Belinda in Virginia. That made no sense. Pence versus Kane, Kane versus Pence, the big Tuesday night event. I've been this excited since I started this segment 13 seconds ago, which is to say not very excited. In fact, I'm kind of pissed. They're preempting This Is Us. I find out Mandy Moore ended up with Miguel last week, and now you leave me hanging. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, it's an important debate. And if you don't like Trump or Clinton, could you actually be swayed to vote for one of these guys, even if you don't know who they are? I mean, haven't we all wondered, who are Mike Pence and Tim Kaine? All we really know about them is that, well, they're a lot alike. Maybe too much alike. We investigate in a new segment called Why Does It Exist?
The vice presidential debate. Why does it exist? Tim Kaine, Mike Pence. Could their shocking similarities be the key to unlocking it all? Consider, please. Both have two-syllable names ending with the letter E. Both go out of their way to be extremely boring.
How about a round of applause for Nicole?
And according to these pictures, both are white guys. Coincidence? Or are Tim Kaine and Mike Pence the same person? Indeed, the connections are too much to ignore. Both attended law school in the mid-'80s, and both were governors, although, curiously, not at the same time. Kaine, Virginia, 2006 to 2010. Pence, Indiana, starting in 2012. Where was Kaine during those crucial 2 years in between? Experts agree he would have had plenty of time to travel from Virginia to Indiana, possibly on horseback. And what of the agricultural connection between them? Pence is on the record admitting his guilty pleasure is popcorn. Meanwhile, Virginia's 7th most popular cash crop, you guessed it, is corn. Add it all up, and you can only come to one conclusion. The vice presidential debate is necessary to disprove they are the same person. This has been Why Does It Exist?
Thanks to Stuart Barney for lending us that very familiar golden voice. I love that, Stu. Every evening. All right, Professor Dershowitz, do you have any predictions for this debate? Is it going to go is it going to be interesting at all?
Oh, sure. Tim Kaine is my former student at Harvard Law School.
You know everybody.
He's going to win.
You know.
But the only reason we're watching this debate is one of these guys may become president. Both candidates are the oldest two people ever to run for office. Who ever heard of a guy named Harry S. Truman when Roosevelt put him on the ticket and then proceeded to die several months later? So watch carefully. One of these guys may be the leader of the free world.
Oh, that's a frightening, yeah, it is a frightening thought, Colonel West. Let me put that on record that is a frightening thought. All right, I have a theory that Pence is going to have to spend most of his time defending Trump.
Well, yeah, that's going to be the entire objective, and I think that Mike Pence has to know that going in. And we recently saw he was asked, do you disavow David Duke and having a relationship with Donald Trump? So it's going to be that kind of, circular attack of Trump through Pence. And if you understand that going in, you should be prepared. But Professor Dershowitz is absolutely correct. When you have two candidates, it's 69 and 70 right now, for them to go on past a first term, absolutely, that's a big deal. And we see the stress of the office. So these guys in 4 years could end up being your president.
Wow, Kat, I wasn't even going to watch this thing. No. Now I feel that it's my job to watch it, like I work on a talk show.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I wish what they would do instead is just kind of hang out and drink beers and exchange stories about what it's like to defend one of the two most hated candidates of all time. Like, I'm serious. I feel like they're going to be great friends. Like, they're opposites now, but after having this shared traumatic experience, they're going to become great friends, like Buzz and Woody in Toy Story, or like Seth Rogen and James Franco in Pineapple Express. That's what I think.
Oh, wow. That's actually a fairly good metaphor, Tyrus. Who do you think has the upper hand?
Depends on which one of the candidates screws up the most that day going into the thing. So if Hillary's email scandal drops and reopens that day, then Pence is going to have the advantage. If Donald Trump opens his mouth. And Keynes. Here's the thing: both guys' the whole debate's going to be, well, I think what Donald meant was, well, I'm glad. Good point. And Hillary also meant this. Yeah. So you'll probably have both sides talking more about the other. Well, Hillary did this. Well, Trump did this, and it'll basically just be two wives fighting over their husbands.
Exactly.
And it'll be entertainment. And after a while, we're going to be, and then they're going to have to get into substance, and people are going to tune them out. So I think both those guys, because of who they're with, can't do what they need to do, and that's do what the vice presidents do is they build a platform, they talk about the objectives and the things they're going to get done. Instead, they have to do 90 minutes of damage control. But please like my guy better.
You know what it is? The VPs, they're like Murtaugh, and the presidential candidates are Riggs from Lethal Weapon. Yeah. They have to, it's like Murtaugh always has to go to Riggs. No, get off the cliff! Don't get away!
Well, it's going to be interesting because it's a different format. It's a town hall format. So it'll depend on what the people there, the type of questions that they ask. And I think that will be a good test to see what's really on the minds of the American people.
Also, they're both very popular. I mean, Tim Kaine was an extremely popular governor and senator. Pence was very popular. And they're both serving as vice president candidate for candidates who aren't so popular. So this is going to be interesting.
You know what the outrage of this debate is? No third-party VP. No Bill Weld. No Ajamu Baraka.
Who?
The injustice of the Green Party, correct?
Bill Weld is a very smart guy.
Oh, he is, yes.
Not as smart as he can't be that smart. Look, we let him be in front of him. And I know,
But he even knew the name. He knew the name of the former president of Mexico.
Yeah, that's
he should have been.
He leaned it over and said,
Fox.
Donald should
So
have been handing out
upset
gift
all the
cards.
time.
He is, Weld is walking around all day miserable.
Yeah.
He's just going, what did I do? It's like he bought a lemon.
The mirror's tough for him.
All right, okay, we got
I
to
think he'd gain points if the next time Johnson talks, he just, excuse me.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike Pence, here's my prediction. Mike Pence steals Donald Trump's Twitter toy.
Oh,
Yeah, he's changed
very
that
smart.
password. Yeah.
All right, up next. Why aren't more young men working? I go undercover as a young man not working to find out. In the most feel-good story of the night, new statistics compiled from the FBI show an 11% increase in murders since last year in cities across the country. Wait, that's not a feel-good story at all. Cities like Chicago and Los Angeles saw approximately 24,000 violent crimes each last year. Violent crime also rose in Baltimore and St. Louis. Some argue that stop and frisk could prevent such increases, while others blame lax punishment for gun crime, as well as the Ferguson effect, which has led to a more restrained police force when dealing with such events. Here's this week's exchange between NBC's Lester Holt and Donald Trump during the presidential debate.
Stop and frisk was ruled unconstitutional in New York because it largely singled out black and Hispanic young men.
No, you're wrong. It went before a judge who was a very against police judge. It was taken away from her, and our new mayor, refused to go forward with the case. They would have won an appeal. If you look at it throughout the country, there are many places
The
where
argument is that it's a form of racial profiling.
No, the argument is that we have to take the guns away from these people that have them and that are bad people that shouldn't have them.
And on top of all of this, the Secretary of Homeland Security spoke this week about his high concern about more terror attacks on U.S. soil by home-born violent extremists. He said it keeps him up at night, which is very comforting indeed. Our advice here, don't panic. Professor, I know you've written a lot on stop and frisk. I have a question, the theory actually, that our culture, our country has gotten complacent because crime has gone down so much that we then begin to question the very tools that cause the crime to go down. So we're saying maybe we should stop putting people in jails, maybe we should stop and frisk, and then the crime will then come back up. Does that make sense? Am I right or wrong?
Nobody knows what causes crime. There are so many factors, but many civil libertarians who are blind to reality, I'm a civil libertarian, but I'm not blind to reality, say we shouldn't have stop and frisk, and if you don't have stop and frisk, it will have no impact on the crime problem. No. Constitutional rights are very expensive. Stop and frisk would reduce crime, but at a cost of constitutional protection and racial profiling. But you have to make a trade-off.
Right.
In Boston, Massachusetts, they had stop and frisk in particular neighborhoods with the cooperation of some of the leaders, and they helped to disarm some of the gang members and did reduce crime. The Supreme Court has said you can have stop and frisk, but you can't racially profile.
Tyrus, to stop and frisk you, they'd need like a crane.
You know what? As a guy who's been stopped and frisked a few times and profiled at the airport and pulled over every time I drive by a school, which I'm not really what's up with that. But here's the thing about this. This just is going to create more problems for the police department. Because they're already having a hard enough time dealing with actual criminals breaking the law, and then when they do something wrong, they're being held to a higher standard. So now you have people, I was profiled against them. So I say, you know what? We've tried it. It didn't work. It hurt people's feelings. People felt, if you're going to search me and I don't have nothing, you're going to search her and she has something, I'm not mad you searched me. But that's me. What they should do is we should have more cops. And at this point, in those rough neighborhoods, let's bring the National Guard in. Let's start having military posts in our neighborhoods and stuff like that. Because if they see guys, just like I was at the airport today when I flew in, when I got my bags, there was two young brothers in uniform with M16 standing up, and I felt like the safest dude in the world. I'm going to get my bags and casually, I'm not doing nothing wrong, so I'm going to walk up out of here. So maybe at our parks and our schools, we'll just bring the National Guard in and let the military and the police department handle it, and maybe just the site will diffuse the violence.
What do you think, Colonel?
I grew up in the inner city in Atlanta, Georgia, and just earlier this week I was in St. Louis, who is incredibly City become one of the most violent cities. I think that we have to stop using this word profile, because in the military, when we were in the combat zone, it's called trend analysis. We didn't go chasing after leads that didn't take you, toward the bad guys. I didn't go looking after. I mean, it's very simple. So we do that all the time. And I think that right now we have such an environment out there that are putting our police officers, law enforcement officers, on their heels.
Right.
And we're giving the advantage to criminal elements and to gangs. There are so many good people that are in these neighborhoods and communities. They want to feel safe.
Right.
The person that brought the lawsuit against the gun law in Chicago was an elderly black man. Who wanted to be safe in his home. He just wanted a shotgun.
Yeah.
And so if we're not going to allow people to do that in many of these inner cities, then we need to have that cooperation with the
But
police.
you're right about one thing. Profiling is a good thing. That is, you want to get as much as you can about an individual.
Absolutely.
Find out where he traveled, find out who his associates are, look at his criminal record. You create a profile. That's just sensible. But to say that all black people should be stopped, that's racism.
But I grew up, and like I said, never got stopped.
Yeah.
Because I didn't give anyone a reason
But
to
look,
stop.
a lot of policemen would look at you and say, you're probable cause. You are probable cause.
Professor?
That's what a lot
I
lot of policemen
got
would
a
say.
college degree, and
I understand that.
But
they wouldn't say that about you.
To that point, the media is just as bad as the criminal element, because whenever something happens, they paint a picture of the person who's doing wrong as this innocent human being who was attacked horribly by the evil police department. And then, hold on, and then 2 weeks later, his wife reports him for being a felon, reports him for threatening her with a gun. And he has a rap sheet a mile long, but all we saw was selfies of him on his Facebook page holding a puppy and the evil police coming to get him. And that just creates, and no one waits for the next story.
Okay, but in New York, stop and frisk was being abused in New York. That's why it wasn't about it. What did Trump say? And against the police judge? No, they were using a way, they were stopping people because they looked nervous or they had their hands in their pockets. You can't do that. That is unconstitutional.
But they weren't stopping you and me because we look nervous.
I understand.
Right.
Thank God. I would never get anywhere. Yeah.
Cat's this big with a bandana on. She had a gun. She'd be dragged. You'd see her dragging.
I have to take a break, but I think there's a common link, because we didn't get to the terror part of this, between radical Islam and American violence. That political correctness is preventing us from doing the profiling that you need to deal with crime, and also preventing us from dealing with terror for fear of being called Islamophobic. It's the same disease, right?
Absolutely. And think about this.
Hey, I got some applause.
I would have never thought, having been in Iraq and Afghanistan, that we would have improvised explosive devices on the streets of New York and New Jersey. And it's here.
And worry that it could happen in the run-up to the election because Al-Qaeda and Russia both would like to influence the outcome of this election. I want everybody out there to make an oath. If there is a terrorist attack, God forbid, you will not change your vote. Because if you change your vote as a result of a terrorist attack, there'll be more terrorist attacks in the run-up to every single election.
I didn't look at it that way, and that's a great point to end the segment on, but that's very smart. I don't know if it's possible, though.
Let's just add more police and more military.
All right. Later in the show, a monologue by Cat. We call it the Catalog. Huh? Clever. But first, violence up, terrorism spreading, and so what the hell are we doing? We're playing video games. I wish this next story was a joke.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like to be part of our studio audience, email Greg Tix at foxnews.com.
They'd rather be a sofa surfing slob than a dude on a job. A new study from Princeton and the University of Chicago, hooray, suggests that undereducated young men are rejecting work because they have a better alternative. This is crazy. It's living at home and playing video games. Researchers found that although unemployment among men without college degrees is up, so is their overall happiness, meaning they're jobless and they feel great about it. When did this happen? They say the reason could be that many of these guys achieving something in a video game provides more enjoyment than working a job for low wages. In other words, it's not that the unemployed are turning to video games to cope. It's that video games are so awesome, they're keeping young men from looking for work in the first place. For more, let's check in with our video game correspondent, who I'm told just died on level 47.
This young
young man with the fat.
Yeah, and since he doesn't have a job, how's he going to buy a new TV? Not very bright, video game player. All right, this is crazy. Tyrus, you play games all the time. Are these people just ahead of the curve? They realize that come automation, no one's going to work anyway?
Okay, well, first of all, yeah, AI aside, as a video game junkie, but I'm weird because I still wanted a job. So, but I always found time. But mine was playing football and sports. In college, we had downtime. We played Madden all the time. Like Madden became like we didn't fight in pits anymore. We had Madden. Whoever was the best gamer, the gamer score is everything. And nowadays when you play
It's not everything.
it is everything, Kat. You don't know because you're not good at it. Your hands are too small for the sticks, and you can't play it online. Plus, you have the hookups. You can play with your friend in Vietnam. Video games is like the new magic massage for guys. It makes you feel like if you're good at your game, get away from me. If you're good, stop it. I didn't interrupt you in your catalog. I don't get my own spot. So, what? They drag when I walk.
Yeah.
But the point is, video games for men is better than the perfect girlfriend. She's always there. You're always right. If she messes up, you can reset it and start all over again. It's a beautiful thing.
Kat, single woman in New York. Men, where are they? Are they on the couch? Not in New York. You have to have a job in New York.
I guess. I don't know. I'm just going to go with they're on the couch playing video games and it's not my fault. So then it's not my fault. But this is a problem. They're happy, right? And all the society's saying, well, as long as you're happy, and that's not true at all. I would much rather be a sad contributor to society than a delighted waste of space. And that is what our country is supposed to be about. Being productive.
Don't have testosterone. It sucks when you're the assistant manager at Burger King and a guy half your size. Tyrus, fries, now, stat. Hey, did you do your quarterly thing? You can't do anything.
Yeah, so you play games.
So I go home and play a game and make a character like him and just beat the
But that's so sad, and it's even sadder that you don't think it's sad.
All right, kids, enough. That's just so bad. This is what's happening. This is okay, Colonel West. Could it be possible that people could invade America and millions of young men won't even get up from the couch to look out the window?
Not as long as the video game is operating. But this is a cultural difference here. It's a cultural difference because I remember growing up, we never wanted to be in the house.
Yeah.
Okay? We wanted to be out playing a game. We wanted to, cowboys and Indians, soldier and bad guys, or whatever.
It's racist.
Not if you were winning. But, I mean, we played baseball when it was baseball season. We played football, even though we were, playing football. We played basketball. And then all of a sudden these games come along, everyone's doing it with their thumbs. We were out there trying to prove it on the basketball court.
This is really becoming a simulated life when it comes to pornography, texting, communication, gaming. We're living these simulated lives, Professor. Right. And what if it's appropriate? What if this is the next step in evolution where, we're not supposed to actually go outside anymore and we're just supposed to sit here and become blobs? That's the next step.
Well, just leave me alone. I'm killing a dragon. Come on. Are you going to make me work?
That's how you would play it. Right?
I don't even know what a video game is.
No one does.
But you're absolutely right.
No one does that.
I went and saw the Yankees play the Red Sox. But other people don't even go to watch ball games anymore. They do fantasy leagues.
Right.
They make up their teams. Everything is virtual. Everything is fantasy.
Yes.
Reality is suffering. Reality isn't that great. Maybe that's the reason.
That could be it. You know what? It goes back to what Tyrus is saying, is that if there is a feeling of hopelessness in the world, why begrudge somebody for finding pleasure in this, right? No rejection.
Society is going to collapse if nobody does anything. Society is supposed to be about people contributing to it.
That's why you have a universal base income, right?
The Declaration of Independence talks about the pursuit of happiness. Jefferson had games in mind.
Yes, he did.
Actually, he had slave women in mind, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes. All right. He's so fast. He's very quick. For a large man, he's very quick. All right, coming up, it's the catalog where Kat talks about stuff and we listen.
Welcome back. Greg had to pee. I'm Kat. Show must go on. What do you want from me? All right, so Katy Perry released a video for Funny or Die called Katy Perry Votes Naked in order to try to get the vote out for Hillary Clinton.
Or, if you're like me, I sleep naked. Yep. Let those babies loose, because no one ever
All right, ma'am.
What?
All right, that's
Hey,
enough of that.
No. I read the Constitution. I know that I have the right to vote naked.
You notice anything? That's right, she's not naked. Just because you put a black bar over the screen doesn't mean she's naked. It means that this is false advertising. The title of the video was Katy Perry Rocks the Vote Naked, but a better title would be Black Bar Keeps You from Seeing Katy Perry Naked. It's just another broken promise from Hillary Clinton's people. Also, what? Thank you. Also, what is so impressive with being naked? I've been naked at least once most days. In fact, here's a chart of the percentage of the population who has been naked. Here is a map where there is at least one naked person right now. Countries highlighted in yellow have at least one naked person. And here is the average age in which each person achieves naked. Very impressive, Katie. If you want to be naked, fine. I'm not judging, but I'm also not impressed. And if you just say you're going to be naked and you're not naked, well, then you're just a liar. Speaking of naked, an outdoors club at Claremont Colleges recently canceled its Speedo hike because it's not inclusive enough to all body types and fitness levels, and because it implies broiness. All right, it's true that not everyone feels comfortable in a bathing suit, and not everyone can scale a 10,000-foot mountain, but so what? The whole point of having interest-specific clubs is for their members to join together and participate in interest-specific activities. And their problem with broiness offends me because I am pro-bro. Broiness makes all activities more exciting. Without bros, it's just like cool chicken. But with bros, it's like, dude, sick chicken! Hey, bro, do you want to go to Applebee's? Half-price apps, and we can watch the game? Duh, dude, hell yeah, I'll get my keys. Other friends will say, I'm sorry that guy was mean to you, but bros will say, oh my God, are you serious? I'm gonna kick his ass, and then we should go to Applebee's. You are my dude for life. Football, beer, chicken wings, shirts spray painted to look like bikini bodies, all of these industries rest on the backs of the American bro. If you're a bro, you don't even need the boat to buy the shoes. I love bros, and you should too, because they keep the economy going. Yes, inclusion is a good thing, and it's good to be sensitive towards other people, but an outdoors club freaking out that its activities aren't inclusive enough of people who don't go outdoors isn't being sensitive, it's being insane. Also insane, calling dog Halloween costumes sexist, right? Because apparently the election is so boring and there's nothing of importance going on in the world. A Washington Post columnist wrote a think piece about how pet costumes are sexist. The glass ceiling appears to be firmly in place at PetSmart, where career costumes labeled male include firefighter and police officer, while female dogs can choose between a pink cowgirl costume and a pink loofah. I agree, there is a glass ceiling that won't let your girl dog be a firefighter. It's called She's a Dog. And finally, my man Gary Johnson blew it again this week. Watch.
Favorite foreign leader?
Who's my favorite?
Just name anywhere in the country, any one of the continents, any country. Name one foreign leader that you respect and look up to.
I guess I'm having an Aleppo moment in the former president
But I'm giving
of Mexico.
you the whole world.
I know.
Actually, what was the problem with that? What's more American than knowing absolutely nothing about the rest of the world? No, I'm joking. You have to know things about the rest of the world, especially if you're running for president, but I don't really have a favorite foreign leader either. In fact, I don't really have a favorite anything. And anytime anyone asks me, I always get stumped. My favorite Beatles song, my favorite episode of Elf, my favorite kind of gum to step on in the street, my favorite holiday, my favorite color, my favorite time of day to trip and fall down the stairs. There's either too many or not enough of the things to choose from. So once again, leave my Gare Bear alone. Can I get an exclamation point?
Exclamation.
Thank you. Thank you. Greg, how'd you make it out in the bathroom? Was it good? Glad you left your mic off and all that?
Thank you for reminding everybody. That wasn't me, actually. All right, nice job, Kat. Go away. Up next, I tuck everyone in for the night and get their final thoughts. Stick around.
What you've wanted to say all show, but haven't had the chance to say, so here's your chance to say it. Right now.
Go to West.
Follow us at the National Center for Policy Analysis, ncpa.org. We have serious discussions about policy, and if we keep living in fantasy world, we're going to lose the real world.
Excellent. Love your website, too. All right. Professor?
My book, Electile Dysfunction, A Guide for the Unaroused Voter, is practically like a video game.
Yes.
Because it's an ebook. You just press a button and it comes out and you can read it. And it won't tell you who to vote for, but it'll tell you what criteria you should use in deciding who to vote for. And if you're unaroused by either candidate, Electile Dysfunction is the book to read.
Nicely done. All right, Tyrus.
Okay, so I just finished making a movie. And the wardrobe lady used to leave notes in my wardrobe every day, and I never paid attention to it because I'm grouchy, and I just threw it in the ground. And the last day there, I reached in like, why is this glitter in my pocket? And she's like, well, I wrote you a note every day. I'm like, huh?
Read it.
So I feel bad, so I'm going to read it. Like glitter and glue, your sparkle delights and sticks with me. Like glitter, your work will permeate everywhere and leave a lasting shine that's hard to get rid of. Like the glue, remember to always hold it together, and you will move forward in this career, no matter what everyone else says. How crazy, I should have read this before, how crazy it might get, and you will have to stay your wonderful self. Much love, Sherry.
That's the biggest fortune cookie I've ever seen.
All right, we got to wrap it up. Kat, last words?
I ate macaroni and cheese today and bread, and I feel disgusting. What would Donald Trump say?
I don't know.
Say,
All right.
stop it.
He would say that. Okay, thanks to Colonel Alan West, Alan Dershowitz, Tyrus, Stuart Varney, Kat Timm, and our studio audience. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America.